Up next, let's talk about challenges, right? Which I would admit was a show is a show that I would have waited to see. I would have waited to see in when it came out digitally, but because I was hearing so much praise about it, I was like, all right, I need to see this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just because India is in it, right? But also the director himself, right? Luca Guadagnino, right?
Right.
This was a guy that I've been following since he dropped Call Me By Your Name back in 2017, I think it was.
Right.
And while I was not over the moon with it, like I understand why people like enjoy it so much, right? And praise it and call it one of the best dramas and best romance films of the 2010s. I just saw, I was like, all right, well, it was cool. And Timothée Chalamet crying in front of the camera for a minute, and the credits roll.
Right.
I was like, all right, well, okay, yeah, right. I think for me that was my introduction to Timothée Chalamet. I never heard of this guy since then, right? By then, right?
Yeah. He also did Then he also did the one of the the cannibals. That's pretty good too.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to get into.
Also Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah. Yes. Which I put you on to, and I'll never forget. You tell me, like, I told you to check it out, that you didn't even know about the cannibal aspect of it, and you were surprised, like, oh shit, like that was what going on. I was like, yes, that's what's going on, right? I enjoyed that one. Well, it came out digitally, so I watched it there. I was kind of let down by the ending though. Like I felt like, oh, what? That's all you get any film? Like, give him more. It just sort of stops.
Right.
But as far as like this, 80s inspired, romantic horror film, it works, right? But also should mention 2018 Suspiria, which I was absolutely let down by, because I felt like it just sort of sucked out, what made Dario Argento's Suspiria classic, right? I just made it into this sort of like vapid kind of political, not an allegory, but more like this political story. And it's just stuff like dog, when I hear a Suspiria remake, I want to see a Suspiria remake, not some kind of drawn out kind of like stuff. And like when things get bloody and stuff like that, it's just done in this kind of like weird way, in an artsy way, I should say, but it just didn't work for me, right? But I think you liked it for what it was, but I just didn't care.
I dug it here. I remember digging it for it.
Yeah. So yeah, challenges here now. And I think if I'm not mistaken, this is like probably Luca's biggest film, like in terms of budget though, because it's not just it's coming out from MGM, but through Warner Brothers as well too, right? And I won't lie, while I was watching this film, I was like, "Cause Luca probably enjoying the fact that he had money to work at this way." Like, you could see it. You could see like, all right, I have money. I gotta make this show look real good. I gotta do things that I could have never. I would have never been able to do with my previous films, you know what I mean? Because I had Warner and MGM back them up, right? But yeah, like I say, Luca directed this, so I took the advantage to see this on big screen, because in my head I would tell myself, even with Zendaya as the lead, and I won't lie though, that poster is one that sticks with you, but like once you see it, it just stays in your mind though. So points for the promotional team behind that though. That's a fantastic poster in my opinion, right? But yeah, my mind was like,
it had a kind of double. Well, I remember it being somewhat weird and misleading in terms of the poster, but the first one is very good with the glasses.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, the glasses one, right? That one with the shades, sorry.
Right. No, well, okay. So it have a couple others that they get in trouble for.
Is it okay? So in the film slight spoiler, there's a couple of Adidas posters with Zendaya, right? When I saw it, I was like, all right, I know that there's some posters.
Well, there's one that is really controversial for what I gathered. So apparently, it's like they have Challenge and then Jel.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, why is this like this?
I saw that in the film too. I don't think it's that same Adidas poster, right? But yes, I saw that one with NGERS at the bottom. That's in the film too. That's in the film too. For a brief second, but whatever. Yeah. But I know what you're talking about, right? But yeah, I took the advantages to see this, because I tell myself, all right, this show not gonna last a week here in Trinidad, because when it comes to artsy films, right? And Luca is an artsy director. Let me be real here. It won't last a week, right? But I think with these in the push now and the fact that it's a Warner Brothers release too, yeah, I think that this show have some legs, right? Here for like the next week or so, hopefully, right? But then anyway, Ricardo, take it away. What is Challengers about?
Right, so it's about three tennis players, three very toxic tennis players. Art, oh god, what's the other guy's name?
Patrick.
Art, Patrick, and what's your name again?
And Tashi,
thank you. Right, the three of them come together. They meet under normal-ish tennis circumstances, kind of, but then you realize that they have a kind of working bounce-off relationship with them. And basically, Zendaya, she riz up these two white boys, right? And it's them in a relationship, but then now the three of them have a whole working relationship and their own toxicity in terms of like struggling as tennis stars. And then Zendaya's arc is undermined by a severe injury that kind of effectively ends her career. But now she's still involved in their lives for other reasons, and you'll find out why. And yeah, I kind of thought this was one of the best movies of the year. Kind of loved it. Really great character work. Why it works. I actually was wondering if this was a book because I was like, wow, this writing is excellent. It kind of too smart for a movie. Kind of like, oh, they're real overthink it in terms of thing, but it's just such great. Why it really works. It's great like character study at the same time, great relationship conceit, and also feels very very modern. It doesn't feel like insulting intelligent. And it feels like an update to, another movie that's very familiar that came out around 10 years ago, Whiplash.
Really?
Toxicity.
You mean, right, with the toxicity of, with the competitive nature of things, right? Kind of.
Right, the toxicity of things. But this is a little deeper than that, I feel, but it feels like an evolution of that idea of basically the type of personalities this is attract, the nature of it, the tennis is not really about tennis, and it gets into that back and forth. And why it works also is that no one is the good guy here, really. There are more baddies than goodies. There are more baddies than baddies. It have people worse than bad. But no one is really that good. Like when you actually like get into who doing what and why and the purposes and the reasons. And it's like, oh, okay, you on shit.
People in this show selfish for various reasons. Yeah.
Right, and they make it really work, but everything comes together and works really, really well. And yeah, it's just such a great character piece. And yeah, Zendaya really shines in this. She riz up everybody, right? She really, really, really holds her seat, but everybody's good in this. And I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as it was. Mostly because of, one, the editing. I thought that was great. And then Resna and Ross.
Yeah, I was like, my boy Resna and Ross show up there. I was like, what? Okay.
They come together so well in this material, and it just bongs together really well, especially the end in that final scene. When you find out, when a certain character finds out of another thing that happened, they're like, all right, it get wild now, and it just escalates and really works in its own conceit. And yeah, this was kind of really smart, really well done, just really solid character work, and just really great direction, of course, but like just everything. I don't think it necessarily gels together as well as it could have, because for one reason, actually, a simple reason that I don't know if they would have worked around it, to be honest, but it was still it held back the film, but that's about it. Everything else was like really, really good, smart stuff. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, and yeah, this is probably one of the best movies of the year for me. I'm probably gonna make my top 10.
All right, I agree with you too. I would love for this to make it to my top 10 as well. I was hearing people calling this one of the year's best films. When I came out of it, I was like, yep, they're absolutely right. This is one of the best films of 2024, bar none, right? So just to get the good out of the way, the acting, great across the board. Zendaya, yes, really shines as the lead. And they do a thing that I did not expect. They do a lot of like flashbacks and flash forwards, right? The flashback scenes though, because, all right, when you get the flashback scenes at first, right? Because, okay, so smart casting, of course, with Zendaya, of course, with her look and build and all that kind of stuff, right? So she could tell that, in the present, she is, in her early 30s, but in the flashback, she's like 18, 19 years old, right? So you sell that, right? And then subsequently, you'll see her in her early 20s and stuff like that, right? But it works, right? But the other two guys, Mike Feist and Josh O'Connor, right?
Yeah.
When they got to the flashback scenes, I swear that they cast younger people. By watching, it feels like, no, it's them, Tread. You know what I mean?
Right.
So points points for the makeup and hair design for this, especially for Zendaya, boy. She looks like, when they do the flashback, she looks younger, and then when you get to the present stuff, she looks significantly older. But I was like, what? Okay.
I had somewhat of the opposite problem because
you find she looked the same.
No, she looked fine, but I thought they looked the same. The two guys now, I like.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm not seeing this. I was that's kind of what was my problem with the movie. I was a little on the confused then of what the I was a bit on the confused then of
what time period? Oh,
what time
okay,
period this was, and it's only because the only reason I knew is because you hear some new stuff in the background, like, oh right, when that was, and then they mentioned and they was playing Nelina.
Yes. It's 2004. All right, okay.
Right,
yeah.
But the thing with that is that it could be a good bit of time after. I know you're really sure now. It's at least this time, right? And so on and so forth. That's the only thing that really held it back for me. Other than that, next to perfect movie in my humble opinion, or at least flawless film.
Right.
Nothing else bothered me.
Right. Well, I can understand what you mean with how the two guys look, right? Because to be fair, one guy just have a beard in the present. I was like, all right, that's fine, and the other guy just look a little buffer. You know what I mean? And you don't talk as much as he did in the flashback scenes, and they kind of justify that too. Why he's reserved now, you know what I mean? And it has to do with the fact that it has to do with Zendaya, but I don't want to spoil that because I want people to kind of go in as blind and kind of see things play out, right? Speaking of which, so yeah, you know what I mean? I didn't expect the flashbacks and flash forwards, right? What I thought was really smart too is how they frame the whole story and how they tell it, even though it's in a non-linear fashion. I like that they frame it from the context of how a tennis game plays out, right? So I'll confess this. Right. I know little to nothing about tennis. I just know certain players over the past and present, but I can't tell you, this is this period of the match and whatnot. I don't know anything about that, right? But I love how the show frames the story, to play out like a tennis match, right? So you have this set break moment, and what they show during the set breaks make a lot of sense, you know what I mean? In terms of what they see in the characterization and whatnot. But it works though, just stylistically, right? The character development in this though, just the characterization in this is fantastic though. You buy into, the three leads being why they are who they are and whatnot, right? And yes, they are morally gray, right? They're not they're not good, but they're not bad neither, right? And I like that, they are selfish in their own varying degrees, right? One person might be more selfish than the other, right? But for me, the main theme that I got out of this though is just competitiveness. That's really at the heart of it all. It's all about, all right, I want to win this match, or in the case of this love triangle, I want to get you, but it's how hard I had to work to get you, or in the cases in there, how hard you had to prove yourself to be worthy to me, right? But you also see the downside to it too. You see like, what, I getting bored by this, and I just kind of getting tired of this. So you understand why a certain character don't want to play, tennis anymore. You understand why a certain character don't want to be with Zendaya's character anymore, right? You see how it all plays, all right? But you hear about some contest, or you get jealous, so something happens, like, all right, I gotta get that competitive spirit back. I gotta get that fire back up, right? I love how they play that within the context of this love triangle, right? Speaking of which, I know a lot of people go into this expecting this to be some kind of like sleazy, raunchy film or whatnot. It's sexy, yes it is, right? But I do admire and applaud the fact that it wasn't done in this overly salacious, or how to say it wasn't done in this blatantly raunchy kind of way. Like, this is not some Skinamax or USA After Hours kind of show, right? But I have to give Luca points for this though, because I could tell, and it's even right out again Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross to do the very synth heavy soundtrack for this, right? The man pulling it into his 80s bag yet again, right? So, it almost feels like you're watching some sort of like teen sex comedy, like something like A Risky Business or something like that, where yes, it's about sex at the end of the day, but we're doing more than talk about that. We also touching on all these other things as well, you know what I mean? So it's not just about the sex stuff, but it's other stuff going on, right? So you could tell that he pulling from that too, right? And I love that, right? Speaking of which though, So as much as people would say that Zendaya is the standout character in this because of what she does and how she kind of manipulates the leads and how she kind of plays things and gets played in the process as well too. And yes, she does absolutely shine in this though. She is acting her ass off. I love that she's committed to the role. She's not just kind of doing the, like what we kind of typically we know with her with the sort of snarky, slightly kind of cynical kind of vibe.
Correct.
Nah, she really putting an effort into the character as well. You buy into her motivations and why she is the way she is, right? But for me though, the one who walks away the victim in all of this way is Luca Guadagnino, boy.
Yeah.
This guy is showing off in this show, but I just really watch this man like, what's he doing? Like, again, like, the man just get a bigger budget and the man just doing shit like, it was almost like he's so happy to be able to do this in this stage of his career, right? So,
yeah.
Alright, so slight spoiler. Some of it involves the tennis sequences, right? So, me not really knowing much about tennis though, it's kind of come to expected that you would get some tennis scenes, right? And I'm not no expert when it comes to tennis movies or like movies centered around tennis, but this is some of like the best scenes set around the game of tennis I've ever seen though. And again, going back to Luca, boy, that man doing stuff there like, what? This man doing slow-mo of sweat dripping off people's faces. This man doing a POV shot of the ball getting hit, I almost walk out the cinema like, what are you doing, dog?
Yeah.
What is this? What is this? The man do a POV from the man do I feel like it's meant, like, I don't think that the camera was literally strapped to it, but I think it's meant to emulate it.
Yeah.
Strapped to the side of the racket horse.
The racket, yeah. The finals. The final match had a lot of these like really weird like strange seeds in it in terms of how to cut together stuff. And like, I would.
Yeah. And dog, even like that final sequence is fantastic though. Like, again, is Luca just firing on all cylinders with this one, just showing off though. This style upon style upon style upon style this man was doing, right? Plus, the man have guys moving in they have moments where characters, the players are moving in slow-mo, and it's as if the people in the back moving slower than them, right? Again, the style in this though is fantastic though. Like, that is worth the price of admission alone, right? But there's a lot of substance in it as well too, right? In terms, again, with that whole competitive nature, how alluring it is, how tempting it is, the thrill of it, right? You see it with Zendaya and just her relationship with these two guys, right? But you also see with the two guys themselves. I love that they also show like the flashback scenes with them being young and horny. It's like, hey, look at this hot chick doing tennis. Yeah, let's back her and all that kind of stuff, right? And where it leads with the two of them and their relationship, though, I think makes perfect sense. And if you're familiar with Luca's work, it's like, yeah, it was going to be about that anyway, right? So I can't say that I was completely surprised by it, but I admire the fact that yes. So in other words, without spoiling much, in addition to being a romantic film, yeah, this is also a bromance film too. Like, it's a bromance film.
Well, it's
all in your face.
Yeah, it's a trouble.
It's a bromance movie.
No, basically, effectively, it's a trouble. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that necessarily.
Right. Exactly. I could see some people having some issues with how Luca shoot some scenes or block the actors or whatnot. Like, it's like, in other words, it's kind of saying, okay, we want you to make it specifically clear these two guys kind of have the hots for each other. So you're going to have the two of them like close up to each other and they share food and all that kind of stuff. Even though when they're young, is they just on shit. I mean, they're young and they're horny, right? But yeah, I can imagine some people like, all right, you're just kind of making it like, why hit him over the head with this though? But again, I think it works. It's very subversive, but I like that. It's very purposeful with it too. Kind of like this lady or this too. Yes, I know what's going on. Yes, I'm making the film. I know what I'm doing. Trust me with this, right? And last thing, right? One thing that I absolutely love about this show, though, people might find it be a little on the pretentious side of things, but I absolutely love this. I like that Luca, even though he have a big budget now, Man still stuck to his art house roots, boy. This man doing stuff that's like straight out to some kind of like similar to Call Me By Your Name, straight out from some kind of like 60s French New Wave film. Like the man have this like French or Italian song that pops up. The man doing like freeze frames out of the blue, you know what I mean? Just because he just want to be artsy, right? I love that, right? And of course, he tapping into his 80s love as well too. So yes, it has that sort of like 80s teen sexcom kind of vibe to it. Like I don't want to say like Porky's, but more like a Fast Times at Richmond High kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Sort of like that kind of coming of age kind of story, right? And lastly, points for getting Trent and Atticus to do these score.
That come
right?
true, yeah.
Because again, Luca had to be artsy. This is particular piece of music that they do. This really like fast-paced, throbbing synth pop song, right? And I love how it's just purposefully put into the film. So it's just like a conversation scene. It could be just a scene just between two characters, and you're just hearing this music popping, and you're thinking, oh, okay, something salacious gonna happen, or something violent gonna happen, or you would think, oh, this song should be played when something vibrant is going on, like a tennis match, right? But no, you just have it there just to build tension, and it works. And it's just so kind of slightly off-putting and off-kilter. I people was laughing like when the song pops up there, because it's just kind of weird though. But again, it just works in terms of just what Luca is doing, right? But yeah, I could talk for days about this though. I did not expect to enjoy this as much as I did. I absolutely love this, man. Luca, really went out of his way to make a great film. I love the fact that it was both mainstream and art house at the same time, right? So yeah, people who are not familiar with his work could check it out and enjoy it. But, if you're at least familiar with the fact that he has this art house background, you could appreciate the little, artsy stuff here or there, right? They wouldn't take you out to the film unless you just like bored or you just don't care about the show at all. You're just looking for a reason to leave. Oh, they're playing this French song, and why they played it there? Okay, I go on, right? So, but if you're patient with it, right, and I love that the show is intelligent enough to say, okay, we are not dumbing down the audience. The audience pretty much know what's going on. Even in the more the sexual scenes and whatnot, right? The audience know what's going on. And we're not going to insult the intelligence. We're telling the story. Trust us. We're going to have fun with it. And yeah, it totally worked for me, man. So for me, I'm going to give this a very light 4.5 out of 5. I absolutely enjoyed this. This is the best Luca Guadagnino film I've ever seen. I can't believe I've seen this, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, people will have Call Me By Your Name up there as like his best work. For me, boy, it's Challenges, boy. This is one of the year's best films.
Yeah.
And I would love for this to be in my top 10 as well too. I should say, here's hoping that it makes it to our top 10, right? So yeah, Luca, dude, like I don't know if you'll get another like budget of this magnitude to make films like this way, but I say, dude, keep doing what you're doing here. This is the lane that you should go on. Keep moving on that lane, Dread. Sky's the limit for you, man. So yeah, Ricardo, final thoughts on Rita.
Agreed. Rating 9 out of 10. Very few problems I had with this. It's just such a really strong and smart character piece for me, and that is why it works. I mean, it's just these three people. To borrow from physics, is a three-body problem, right? These three figures similar to each other but different, and just bouncing off each other, and then the chaos that it involves from this. And yeah, it's just great acting, great compositions, good setup of characterization and material, and it's just such a great story does this. And yeah, this I feel this have legs in my humble opinion. I think this gonna have some strong beats going forward as it is. I really dug the hell out of this. 9 out of 10.
Nice.